If you're trying to look high status, then you're probably going about acquiring status the wrong way. Because status isn't something that you claim or perform, it's something that others quietly give you when you become more useful and reliable. Now, of course, there are many ways of gaining status, but becoming well known, useful, and reliable are the foundation of high status, I believe. Now, of course, I'm not some celebrity person or something, but in my local community, I think I've got pretty decent status, and I didn't always have that, so it shows that I have built it instead of just, I don't know, having it since childhood or something. And I haven't even built it over a very long time. Like, I'd probably say 1 to 2 years maximum. And I've gone from pretty much the bottom to halfway up, just way closer to the top. So, everything that you do to be high status, everything that you do to make people perceive you as having high status, it's pretty much just going to be the same thing. And that thing is basically just mimicking people who already have high status, just copying what they do, and it's pretty much faking it till you make it. Now, the one thing that you can't do, which, well, they don't do it. High status people, well, they might have gotten there over time, right? They get there by working their way up over time. And you've got to do the same thing. You've got to work your way up slowly. If you're at the very bottom, then you've got to take the smallest action possible. That might be, I don't know, mowing someone's lawn or something. Even that's probably a pretty big action. But just small actions like that, they help a lot, because without them, you wouldn't be able to level up to the level that you need to do the bigger actions, right? Imagine it as a video game. Imagine to fight this certain boss in a video game, you've got to get to a certain level, right? To fight the grizzly bear, you've got to get to level 50. Now, to get ultra high status, you've got to get to level 50. But you're at level 0, and the only way to level up is by doing little things. Now, the level requirement for saying hi to someone is 0. The level requirement for having small talk with someone is 1. For conversations, it's like 3. Mowing someone's lawn, it might be 10. And so on. And each task that gets more difficult, it requires a higher level, right? But you've got to do the smaller things, like talking to people and just doing little side quests, so that you can actually unlock the bigger things, like, I don't know, doing a speech at a fucking opera. So, you've really got to just work your way up slowly. And I made a whole video about that, about how to kind of get the ball rolling. I believe it's called, I believe it is called How to Master Talking to Strangers in 3 months. It's like, I made it like 2 days ago, so yeah. Go watch that if you want more in-depth stuff about this. And yeah. So, the first thing I would do if I wanted to get really high status would be to talk to everyone everywhere. So it doesn't matter if that's school, if that's work, if that's the gym, if you go to a fucking cafe, a restaurant, if you go bowling, literally anything, anywhere, everywhere, anyone, and everyone. Talk to everyone everywhere. Because high status people, you'll notice that they're mostly social people. They're mostly extroverts, and yeah, there might be some introverts in the mix, but it's harder for an introvert to get very high status because status is something that you get through interactions. And of course, extroverts are more likely to have social interactions because they're extroverts, right? So, talking to everyone everywhere is basically mimicking high status people or people with a high level of extroversion, which will assist you to get that high status. So just do that. It'll also level up your speaking skills quite a lot, which is very useful if you are actually doing stuff like speeches, which I haven't personally done yet, but I probably will do at some point. Now, the next thing is being useful. Now, obviously, if you're trying to get status and let's say you mow someone's lawn, right? If you do a shit job at mowing that person's lawn, then they're not very likely to recommend your services to other people. So, if you're going to do a task, if someone gets you to do something for them, then you got to make sure you do it well, because that'll help your reputation, and reputation is pretty closely correlated to status, so you want that. You want good reputation. And also remember, just always keep this in the back of your head. It's so easy to fuck up your reputation. They all say it, and it's true. It takes years to build and seconds to break. So be careful with what you do, with what you say. If you're a regular, socially calibrated person, it shouldn't be too difficult to maintain your reputation, but again, it's super easy to fuck up. So just be cautious. The next thing is learning when to say no. Again, you'll notice that this is something that where you're basically just mimicking high status people again. You might not think so, but it's true. So let me kind of explain it. High status people are usually people that are busy, right? If you think of celebrities and famous people, especially like actors and comedians and whatnot, they're always fucking busy. They're always working on their next movie or just whatever. And those people, they can't afford to say yes to everything. So you might think that high status people, they just, well, of course saying yes would be good, right? Saying yes is positive, and positive equals high status. Yeah, to a degree, but the more you say yes to people, the more people take you for granted. They don't realize how special you are. Now that might sound weird, but if you bring something useful to the table and you say yes, like let's say you're a painter, right? And one of your colleagues at work wants their door painted or something, and you're like, yeah, I'll do it. Well, that's good. You did it, and hopefully you got paid. But if another colleague asks you to paint their door, and another one, and another one, and another one, then it sort of just becomes a recurring theme, and everyone thinks that they can get their door painted by you, and it'll be no problem. And then what ends up happening is you probably get paid less because you're not showing up to the big jobs like painting a house, or I don't know, painting a house that's 2 stories maybe. So in saying yes to all these little things, all these little tasks, the repetitive ones that you think are easy and shouldn't take you too long, in a weird way they kind of do take you a long time because you're doing a lot of them, and that ends up fucking up your progress in other endeavors. So you've got to learn when to say no, because high status people, they're busy. And imagine if you find yourself in a situation where you don't know if you should say yes or no. Imagine you've got 1 hour free every day, just 1 hour, nothing else. You wake up, you start working immediately. You work for 2 hours, you have breakfast, and you go back to work. When lunchtime comes around, you have lunch, then you go back to work. Then you have dinner, and between dinner and bedtime, you've got an hour. And that hour you spend with family, usually. But for the rest of the day, you're working. So you don't have much time, right? Now, if someone asks you if you can do something for them, and you've got the mindset that you've only got 1 hour free every day, most likely you might say yes to a couple of things, but you'll be very careful picking which ones you pick. I don't know if that makes sense. That makes sense, I think. Sorry if you're like an English person who knows grammar better than me. So yeah, be useful, talk to everyone. Actually, talking to everyone, I think it's more of a foundation thing. Like, you build the social skills so that you can do the other things, like mowing someone's lawn or painting someone's door. And then once you've been doing the be useful part of doing these tasks for other people and just like being useful, right? Then you implement the saying no, and you start just focusing on the tasks that are higher ROI. So mowing someone's lawn is higher ROI than, I don't know, fixing someone's bike tire, for example. Actually, they're both pretty high ROI, but I can't think of any examples right now, so you'll just have to kind of use my advice in your unique situation. But I hope this video helped you. If you want more, you can subscribe, you don't have to. And click the link in the description if you want to join my community, because there's a bunch of fucking awesome shit in there. We've got weekly group calls. I'm actually about to hop on a call in like 15 minutes with a bunch of guys and talk about this sort of shit. So yeah, join that and have a good day, bro.